The scene opens on a quiet suburban street in early autumn, in a small town just outside the city. The sun dips behind the rooftops, casting a warm, golden glow over the houses lined up on Maplewood Avenue. Red and orange leaves scatter across the ground as a gentle breeze stirs them into dance. Life in this neighborhood seems calm, almost frozen in time. But behind the doors of one particular home, a storm is quietly brewing. Alex Daniels, a man in his early 40s, sits in his living room, scrolling absent-mindedly on his phone, though he isn't really seeing the screen. With a neatly trimmed beard, faint creases around his eyes, and a build that reflects his dedication at the local gym, Alex appears to have his life together. But a closer look reveals subtle tension around his mouth, a heaviness in his eyes. He's tired, not just physically, but something deeper, the kind of weariness that comes from emotional strain. It's been years since Alex last felt at ease in his own home. He and his wife, Claire, have been married for 15 years, and over the past few, things have shifted in ways he can't quite put his finger on. Alex isn't the type to give up easily. He works hard, both in his job as a construction manager and in his marriage. But lately, he's felt like he's holding on by his fingertips, clinging to the memories of what once was. Claire is distant. Maybe it's the stress of her demanding job at a law firm or the pressure of raising two teenagers, Jake and Emma. Whatever the cause, Alex finds himself looking at Claire, only to feel like he's staring at a stranger. Claire is the complete opposite of Alex in many ways. Where he's quiet and grounded, she's driven and ambitious, with a confidence that fills every room she enters. She's the type to stand tall in meetings, never backing down from a challenge. Over the years, that intensity has propelled her to become one of the firm's top attorneys. But lately, that same determination seems to have pulled her further away from her family. She's working longer hours, often coming home late and brushing off Alex's attempts to talk. It's as though something's always on her mind, but when he asks, she just gives him a tired smile and tells him everything's fine. For a while, Alex convinces himself that maybe it's just a phase. Every marriage goes through rough patches, right? But then, little things start to nag at him. Details that he tries to ignore but can't quite shake off. Like the fact that Claire has started leaving the room to take certain phone calls, or that she's more protective of her phone, always keeping it face down. Could be nothing, he tells himself. But deep down, he knows something is wrong. One evening, while Alex is waiting for Claire to come home, he decides to clean up the kitchen. Jake and Emma are both in their rooms, doing homework or lost in whatever teenagers do on their phones these days. As he's wiping down the counter, he notices a small, folded receipt under the edge of the bread box. Picking it up, he realizes it's from a restaurant downtown, one he doesn't recognize. The date on the receipt is from last Friday, the same night Claire had told him she was working late at the office. His heart sinks. He stands there for a moment, just staring at the receipt, trying to piece together what it could mean. Maybe she had a work dinner, he reasons. Maybe it was with a client or a colleague. But the doubt has already crept in, and once it's there, it's hard to shake. He puts the receipt back where he found it, not ready to confront her. Not yet. The following weeks are a blur of half conversations and silent tension. Alex starts noticing more signs that something isn't right. Claire's late nights become more frequent, and her excuses less convincing. She's distant, distracted, often brushing him off when he tries to talk. Alex can feel himself drifting in his own home, surrounded by his family, but somehow feeling completely alone. One night, after everyone else has gone to bed, Alex sits alone in the dark living room, his mind racing. He knows he can't go on like this, but he's also afraid of what he might find if he starts digging for answers. He remembers the days when he and Claire were inseparable, when they'd stay up late talking about everything and nothing, dreaming about the future. Now, he can't even get her to look him in the eye. A few days later, Alex decides he's had enough. He confronts Claire as soon as she walks in the door, the exhaustion evident in her face as she sees him standing there, arms crossed. "Claire, we need to talk," he says, trying to keep his voice steady. She sighs, setting down her bag. "Can it wait? It's been a long day, and I'm exhausted." No, it can't wait. He pauses, searching her face for any sign of the woman he fell in love with. Claire, I feel like I'm losing you. You're always at work or on your phone, and I don't even know where you are half the time. What's going on? For a moment, Claire just stares at him, her expression unreadable. Then, she looks away, a shadow crossing her face. Alex, I don't know what to say. Things have been difficult, and I just need some space right now. It's nothing personal. Nothing personal? Alex's voice rises, frustration bubbling over. Claire, we're married. We've built a life together. And now you're telling me it's nothing personal. She winces but says nothing. He can see her shutting down, pulling away, and it only makes him feel more helpless. I just need to know what's going on. Are you seeing someone else? The question hangs in the air, heavy and tense. Claire's eyes flash with something. Anger? Hurt? He can't tell. That's ridiculous, Alex. Just because I'm busy with work doesn't mean I'm cheating on you. She grabs her bag and heads toward the stairs. I'm going to bed. We can talk about this some other time. As she walks away, Alex feels a sense of dread settle over him. Maybe he was wrong to accuse her like that, but he can't shake the feeling that something important has shifted between them, something he can't fix with a simple conversation. Over the next few days, the silence in the Daniels house feels heavier than ever. Alex tries to go about his routine, but he can't escape the gnawing feeling that things between him and Claire have changed. It's like he's sharing his home with a ghost, a version of his wife that's there physically but absent in every other way. Claire has grown colder, retreating into her phone and her work, leaving Alex to wrestle with his suspicions alone. One afternoon, he decides he can't keep the thoughts in his head any longer. He confides in his best friend, Mike, over a beer at their usual spot. Mike listens intently, nodding as Alex shares everything. The late nights, the secretive phone calls, the restaurant receipt. Look, man, Mike says, leaning forward. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe she's just stressed. But if you feel like something's wrong, maybe it's time to find out for sure. Alex considers this. It feels wrong to go behind Claire's back, but he also knows he can't keep living with this doubt. The next day, he takes a half-day off work and drives to the office building where Claire works. He doesn't know what he's hoping to see. Maybe she's really there, working on some big case like she said. But when he arrives, he finds her car parked outside empty. He watches from a distance, feeling both ridiculous and desperate, waiting for any sign of her. A few hours pass, and he's about ready to give up when he sees her walk out of the building, arm in arm with a man he doesn't recognize. Alex's heart plummets. He watches as they walk down the street, laughing together, their faces close in a way that feels far too intimate for colleagues. Feeling sick, Alex drives away. His mind races, struggling to piece together what he just saw. He tries to remind himself that maybe it's nothing. Maybe this man is just a friend or a client. But the memory of their laughter, the way Claire looked at him, is seared into his mind. It's a look she hasn't given Alex in a long time. That evening, Claire comes home as if nothing happened. She greets Alex with a tired smile and heads straight to the shower. Alex sits in the living room, the weight of what he saw pressing down on him. He wants to confront her, to demand an explanation, but part of him is afraid of what she might say. What if this really is the end of their marriage? What if he's already lost her? As the days go by, Alex becomes more withdrawn. He throws himself into work, trying to ignore the nagging suspicion that's taken root in his mind. Claire seems to notice his distance, but she doesn't say anything, only deepening his frustration. It's as if they're both playing a game, pretending everything is fine while knowing, deep down, that their relationship is on the brink. One evening, as he's putting away laundry, he finds a small note tucked in the pocket of Claire's jacket. It's hastily written with just a few words, "Meet me tomorrow, same place." There's no name, no indication of who it's from, but Alex knows it's not from him. He sits down on the bed, staring at the note in disbelief. He's not sure what to do next, but he knows he can't ignore it. The next day, he tells Claire he's working late, but instead, he follows her. She drives across town to a small cafe, where she meets the same man from before. Alex watches from a distance as they talk, their heads close together, hands occasionally brushing. The way she looks at him, it's a look he hasn't seen in years. It's the look of a woman who's infatuated, maybe even in love. Unable to watch any longer, Alex leaves. His heart is racing, his mind spinning with a mix of anger, betrayal, and heartbreak. The reality of it hits him like a punch to the gut. Claire is having an affair. After all the years they've spent together, all the memories they've built, she's found someone else. That night, he confronts her. He's shaking as he holds up the note he found, his voice barely steady. "Is there something you want to tell me, Claire?" She looks at him, her face pale, and for a moment, he sees a flash of guilt. But she quickly composes herself, her expression turning cold. "Alex, I don't know what you're talking about," she says, her tone defensive. He holds up the note, his voice rising. "Don't lie to me. I followed you, Claire. I saw you with him." There's a tense silence as they stare at each other, the truth hanging heavy between them. Finally, Claire lets out a sigh, her shoulders slumping. "Fine," she says quietly. "I didn't want you to find out this way, but yes, I've been seeing someone." The words hit Alex like a slap. He feels his chest tighten, his vision blurring with anger and pain. "After everything we've been through, Claire, how could you do this?" She looks away, guilt flickering in her eyes. "I don't know, Alex. I just feel like we've grown apart. I'm not the same person I was when we got married, and neither are you." The argument escalates, both of them hurling years of resentment and frustration at each other. Alex accuses her of betrayal, of throwing away their family, while Claire defends her choices, claiming that she's been unhappy for years. It's a messy, heartbreaking confrontation, one that leaves them both feeling drained and defeated. For the next few weeks, they live in a tense limbo, unsure of where they stand. They try to keep up appearances for the sake of their kids, but the damage has been done. Alex can't bring himself to forgive Claire, and Claire doesn't seem interested in salvaging their marriage. They're two strangers living under the same roof, each nursing their own wounds. In the midst of this turmoil, Alex finds himself reflecting on his own role in the breakdown of their relationship. He realizes that he's not blameless, that over the years, he's become distant, focused on work, and taken Claire for granted. He begins to wonder if, perhaps, they both played a part in driving each other away. But even with this newfound awareness, he can't shake the feeling of betrayal. He starts spending more time away from home, finding solace in his friends and his work. He's unsure of what the future holds, but he knows that he can't continue living in this state of limbo forever. As Alex navigates this new reality, he begins to rediscover parts of himself that he had forgotten. He starts working out again, reconnecting with old friends, and pursuing hobbies he'd long abandoned. He realizes that, in a way, Claire's betrayal has forced him to confront his own unhappiness, to take a hard look at the life he's been living. Though the pain of the affair still lingers, Alex starts to feel a glimmer of hope. He doesn't know what lies ahead, but he's determined to find his own path, one that's not defined by his relationship with Claire. And as he begins this journey, he finds himself looking forward to the future, ready to rebuild his life on his own terms. Before we dive deeper into what happens next, if you're enjoying this story and want to see more content like this, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Your support means a lot, and it helps keep these stories coming. This section wraps up on a note of uncertainty, as Alex stands at a crossroads, grappling with the possibility of a new beginning even as he processes the pain of Claire's betrayal. Stay tuned as we explore how he navigates the challenges ahead, finding strength and resilience in the face of heartbreak. As Alex moves forward with his life, each day feels like a balancing act between the remnants of his old world and the tentative steps toward a new one. The kids, Claire, and his work. All of it feels like a never-ending cycle that keeps him tethered to the past. Despite his best efforts to focus on his own journey, the pain of betrayal remains, and the awkward tension between him and Claire has started to feel unbearable. One evening, As Alex is settling in after a long day, he receives a message from an unknown number. It's just a single line. "We need to talk. Meet me at the park." Instinctively, he knows it's from Claire. They haven't spoken directly in days, and the cryptic message stirs up a mix of dread and anticipation. When he arrives at the park, Claire is already there, sitting on a bench under the streetlight. Her face is somber, and as he approaches, he notices the weariness in her eyes. She's not here to offer apologies or excuses. There's a new tension in her posture, one he hasn't seen before. "Alex," she begins, her voice soft but steady. "I know we've been avoiding each other, but we need to figure out what's next. For us, for the kids. We can't keep living like this." He nods, crossing his arms as he sits beside her, bracing himself for whatever comes next. "Eva, I've realized a lot of things lately," Claire continues, looking down at her hands. "About us, about myself. I'm sorry for everything. For lying. For hurting you. I know I can't change what's happened, but I want you to know that I didn't mean to lose you, Alex. Somewhere along the way, we just lost each other." Her words are both a confession and an apology, but they only stir more questions in Alex. He's tried to understand her reasons, to make sense of how they ended up here, but the truth remains elusive. "Why him, Claire?" he finally asks, his voice laced with hurt and confusion. "Why did you turn to someone else instead of talking to me?" Claire sighs, struggling to find the right words. "I wish I had a clear answer. I think I felt trapped, like I was losing myself, and he made me feel like someone else, like I wasn't just a wife or a mother, but me." Her answer doesn't make the pain any easier, but it gives Alex a glimpse into the distance that grew between them over the years. They sit in silence, both wrestling with the weight of their choices and regrets. After a few moments, Claire looks at him with a hint of determination in her eyes. "I don't know if we can fix this, Alex, but I want to try. I want us to at least try to be better, for our family if nothing else." Alex takes a deep breath, feeling the pull of conflicting emotions. Part of him wants to walk away, to leave behind the heartbreak and start fresh. But another part, a quieter, deeper part, wonders if maybe, just maybe, there's still something worth salvaging. They agree to work on themselves separately, to focus on rebuilding trust one step at a time. It's not a grand reconciliation, nor is it a promise to stay together. It's simply a tentative first step, a willingness to try despite the scars they now carry. For the next few weeks, Alex and Claire attend counseling sessions. They begin to have honest, sometimes painful conversations about their relationship, peeling back the layers of resentment and unspoken hurts that have festered over the years. It's an arduous process, and there are moments when Alex feels like giving up, like the damage is too deep to mend. But amidst the heartache, there are glimmers of hope. He starts to see sides of Claire he had forgotten, parts of herself that she had hidden away, just as he had. They're both flawed, both struggling to find a way forward, but there's a newfound respect between them, an understanding that neither of them is solely to blame. One evening, after a particularly intense session, Claire reaches out and takes his hand. It's a simple gesture, but in that moment, it feels like a lifeline. They sit together in silence, letting the weight of their shared history settle around them, both wondering if this fragile connection can withstand the storm. Just as things seem to be improving, a twist of fate throws them back into chaos. One evening, while sorting through old files, Alex stumbles upon a series of receipts and messages that suggest Claire's affair had been more intense and longer-lasting than she'd initially admitted. The discovery reignites the hurt and betrayal, unraveling the progress they had painstakingly built. Fueled by anger and frustration, Alex confronts Claire once more. This time, the gloves are off, and the argument escalates into a full-blown confrontation. Both of them hurl accusations, each one cutting deeper than the last, until they're left standing amidst the ruins of their reconciliation. In the aftermath, Alex is left questioning everything. The fragile hope he had clung to now feels like a cruel illusion, and he begins to wonder if their marriage is beyond repair. He spends sleepless nights wrestling with his emotions, torn between the love he still feels for Claire and the deep wounds her betrayal has left. Eventually, Alex makes a decision. He realizes that, for his own sake, he needs to let go of the anger, to find a way to move forward, whether that means staying with Claire or parting ways. He reaches out to a close friend for advice, hoping to gain some clarity. His friend listens patiently, offering a simple but profound piece of wisdom. Sometimes, forgiveness isn't about the other person. It's about freeing yourself from the pain. Whether you stay or go, you need to find peace within yourself first. These words resonate with Alex, and he begins to see his journey in a new light. He understands that healing isn't about erasing the past. It's about finding a way to live with it, to learn and grow from the experience. With this newfound perspective, he confronts Claire one last time, not with anger, but with a sense of acceptance. In their final conversation, Alex and Claire acknowledge the love they once shared and the mistakes they made. They decide to part on amicable terms, recognizing that their relationship, while flawed, had still been meaningful in its own way. It's a bittersweet ending, filled with both sorrow and a quiet sense of closure. As Alex steps into his new life, he carries with him the lessons he's learned, the importance of self-worth, the value of forgiveness, and the strength to rebuild. He's ready to face the future, not as a broken man, but as someone who has found resilience amidst the pain. Thank you for following along with this story. If you're enjoying these deep dives into complex relationships and life's toughest challenges, remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Your support means the world, and we'll keep bringing you stories that explore the human experience in all its raw, emotional depth. As Alex grapples with his emotions, things start to escalate in ways he couldn't have anticipated. His relationship with Claire becomes an emotional roller coaster, each day swinging from the hope of reconciliation to the bitterness of betrayal. They've been walking on eggshells, trying to rebuild trust, but the constant reminders of the affair linger, haunting every interaction. And while they both try to push forward, it's becoming clear that neither of them has fully healed. One evening, Claire invites Alex to a dinner at a cozy little restaurant they used to frequent. She wants to talk about their future and what it might look like if they continue down the path of forgiveness and growth. Alex agrees, albeit with hesitation. He knows he's been holding onto a mix of resentment and lingering affection, but he's willing to give it one last shot for the sake of their history and family. They meet at the restaurant, and initially, there's a sense of nostalgia in the air. The familiar surroundings bring back memories of happier times, and for a moment, they allow themselves to reminisce. But as the conversation deepens, so do the unresolved feelings. Alex questions Claire about the true extent of her relationship with the other man, hoping for full honesty. Claire, visibly uncomfortable, insists she's told him everything. But Alex senses something isn't adding up, and his frustration builds. Then it happens, the tipping point. Claire, perhaps unintentionally, lets slip a detail about a trip she had previously claimed was a work event. It wasn't. She admits that she was actually with him. The realization hits Alex like a tidal wave, shattering whatever was left of his trust. He's hurt, betrayed all over again. The floodgates of anger open wide, and for the first time, he releases all the pent-up rage and sorrow he's been holding back. In that moment, the entire restaurant seems to fade into the background. It's just the two of them, caught in a storm of raw, unfiltered emotion. Alex's voice shakes as he accuses her of leading him on, making him believe there was hope, only to rip it away. Claire tries to defend herself, claiming she was just trying to protect him from more pain, but her explanations fall flat. Their argument escalates until Claire finally stands up, tears streaming down her face. She admits she made horrible mistakes but argues that Alex's inability to move past them is tearing them both apart. It's a brutal, honest exchange, and by the end of it, both of them are left feeling drained, hollow, and defeated. They leave separately, the air thick with finality. For days after, Alex spirals into a mix of anger, sadness, and regret. He realizes that despite his efforts, he can't forgive Claire. Not truly. The betrayal feels too deep, and every time he thinks about her words, the wound reopens. It's during this period of isolation that he begins to contemplate his own future and what he truly wants. He knows he can't keep living in this cycle of hurt and disappointment, but breaking away from a life he's known for so long feels terrifying. Finally, he makes a decision. Alex chooses to leave, to carve out a new path for himself. He meets with Claire one last time, but this time, it's not for reconciliation. It's to say goodbye. They agree to part ways, both acknowledging that while they may have loved each other once, too much damage has been done for them to stay together. There's no anger this time, just a quiet acceptance of what must be. After they go their separate ways, Alex focuses on rebuilding his life, finding a new rhythm that doesn't involve the constant turmoil of his past relationship. He takes up new hobbies, reconnects with old friends, and even finds moments of joy and peace he hadn't felt in years. The pain is still there, a shadow that lingers, but it's no longer all-consuming. In a surprising twist, months later, Alex runs into someone from his past. A woman named Rachel, an old college friend he'd lost touch with over the years. Their encounter is casual at first, just a friendly catch-up over coffee. But as they spend more time together, a new connection begins to form, one based on mutual respect, shared interests, and an understanding of life's complexities. Unlike his relationship with Claire, there's no rush, no intensity driven by past wounds. With Rachel, everything feels grounded, natural. Their friendship gradually blossoms into something more, and Alex finds himself opening up in ways he hadn't anticipated. He tells Rachel about his struggles, the heartbreak he went through, and how he's been rebuilding himself. She listens with compassion, never judging, only supporting him in his journey forward. For the first time in a long while, Alex feels hopeful. His past may be scarred, but he's found someone who accepts him as he is, flaws and all. And as he moves forward with Rachel, he realizes that sometimes life's toughest experiences lead us to the people and places we're truly meant to find. Thank you for joining me on this journey through Alex's story. If you enjoyed this recap and want to dive into more tales of love, betrayal, and self-discovery, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Your support keeps these stories coming, and I can't wait to share more with you. Continuing from where we left off, Alex's life seems to be settling, but the storm brewing between him and Claire hasn't completely dissipated. Although they've had some brutally honest conversations, Alex can't shake the feeling that there are still secrets hidden beneath the surface. It's a feeling he can't ignore, a nagging sense that not everything has been revealed. One evening, just as he's beginning to find peace in his solitude, Alex receives a message from an unknown number. It's a screenshot, a photo of Claire with the man she'd been involved with. And it's not just any photo. It's recent, taken at a familiar bar. Alex feels his stomach drop as he realizes that this man is still in her life, perhaps even closer than he realized. This discovery leaves him reeling, reopening wounds that he thought were beginning to heal. Fueled by a mix of betrayal and anger, Alex decides he needs answers once and for all. He confronts Claire, and this time the conversation is different. There's no pretense of reconciliation, no attempt to preserve the remains of their relationship. It's raw, brutal, and cathartic. He demands the truth, every detail she withheld in the name of sparing his feelings. Claire, visibly shaken, finally confesses. She admits that while they had been trying to patch things up, she hadn't fully cut ties with the other man. She claims it was a mistake, a last encounter that had meant nothing to her. But Alex sees through her words. Every excuse feels hollow, every justification leaves him colder. In that moment, he realizes the extent of her betrayal, not just in her actions, but in the way she had led him on, making him believe they were working towards a future that no longer existed. The emotional toll hits Alex hard. All the anger, hurt, and disappointment come crashing down on him. He's left wondering what his life has been reduced to, a series of lies and broken promises. His trust, his foundation, has been shattered, and now all that's left is a painful clarity. He understands that he can't keep doing this to himself. He needs to walk away, to let go of the woman who had once meant everything to him. With a newfound resolve, Alex decides it's time to take control of his own life. He cuts off contact with Claire, choosing to focus on himself and the future he deserves. It's a turning point for him, a moment where he reclaims his independence, his identity, and his self-worth. He starts pouring his energy into his own happiness, reconnecting with friends, and exploring new interests. The journey isn't easy, but with each passing day, he feels the weight of the past lifting, bit by bit. Just when Alex thinks he's finally moving on, an unexpected opportunity arises. He reconnects with Rachel, his old college friend, who he had met a few months earlier. Rachel is supportive, compassionate, and genuinely interested in his well-being. They start spending more time together, and for the first time in a long while, Alex feels a sense of hope. Their connection is authentic, unburdened by past hurts, and he finds comfort in her presence. But as things progress with Rachel, Alex realizes he still has some lingering insecurities. The betrayal he experienced with Claire left scars, and he's afraid of letting himself be vulnerable again. Rachel, sensing his hesitation, encourages him to open up, to let go of the baggage he's been carrying. She reminds him that trust, though fragile, is worth rebuilding if he's willing to take the risk. In a pivotal moment of vulnerability, Alex shares his fears and insecurities with Rachel. He tells her about the betrayal, the heartbreak, and the journey he's been on to find himself again. Rachel listens patiently, reassuring him that she understands and that she's willing to take things slowly. Her kindness and patience are a balm to his wounded heart, and Alex realizes that he's found someone who genuinely cares for him, who sees him for who he is, flaws and all. Their relationship blossoms, bringing a renewed sense of joy and purpose into Alex's life. The pain of the past doesn't vanish completely, but with Rachel by his side, he learns to navigate it with resilience and grace. Together, they build a foundation based on honesty, trust, and mutual respect, everything his previous relationship lacked. As Alex's story reaches its climax, he faces one final test. Claire reaches out to him, asking for a chance to talk. She claims she's changed, that she's realized the mistakes she made and wants closure. But Alex knows better now. He understands that he doesn't need closure from her. He's already found it within himself. He declines her offer, choosing instead to close that chapter of his life for good. In a powerful moment of self-empowerment, Alex walks away from Claire, leaving behind the pain, the betrayal, and the heartbreak. He's ready to embrace a new future with Rachel, a future that holds the promise of genuine happiness and fulfillment. Thank you for joining me in this intense journey of love, heartbreak, and redemption. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that delve into the complexities of human relationships. Your support means the world to me, and I look forward to bringing you more engaging content. As we dive back in, the tension in Alex's life has reached a boiling point. He thought he had finally closed the door on his past, that he had left Claire and the heartbreak in the rearview mirror. But life rarely goes as planned, and just when he feels like he's making progress with Rachel, there's an unexpected twist. One evening, Alex is out with Rachel, enjoying a rare night of laughter and connection, when his phone buzzes. At first, he considers ignoring it, not wanting to disrupt the moment. But something compels him to look. It's a message from Claire. It's brief but unmistakably intense. "We need to talk. It's important." Alex's heart races as he reads it. He knows this is a moment he's been dreading, a final test of his resolve to move on. Rachel notices the change in his demeanor and gently asks if everything is okay. There's a flicker of doubt in her eyes, and Alex realizes he's standing at a crossroads. He can be upfront with her or let this message disrupt his evening and, potentially, their growing relationship. Taking a deep breath, he shows Rachel the message. To his relief, she doesn't react with jealousy or suspicion. Instead, she encourages him to confront this lingering issue, reminding him that closure with Claire could finally free him to move forward. This moment deepens their bond, as Rachel's understanding reassures Alex that he's found someone truly supportive. The next day, Alex meets Claire in a quiet cafe. The air is thick with unspoken tension, memories flooding back with every glance they exchange. Claire starts off by apologizing, saying she's had time to reflect and that she regrets the pain she caused him. She explains that she was going through her own personal struggles, ones she wasn't honest about, and they led her down a destructive path. At first, Alex is guarded, wary of her intentions. But as she speaks, he realizes that she's being genuine. Her words are tinged with remorse and vulnerability. Claire reveals that she's started therapy, trying to understand her own motivations and mistakes. She isn't asking for forgiveness, she says, but simply wants him to know that she's on a journey of healing too. Alex is struck by a wave of emotions he didn't expect: pity, sadness, even a lingering ache for what they once had. But this time, it's different. The anger that once consumed him is gone, replaced by a calm sense of acceptance. He no longer feels the need to dissect every lie, every betrayal. He's finally ready to let it all go. In a moment of closure, Alex thanks Claire for her honesty, acknowledging that both of them have made mistakes and grown from them. There's a bittersweet finality to their conversation, but as he walks away, he feels lighter, as if a weight he'd been carrying has been lifted. It's a pivotal moment that marks the true end of their story, freeing him to fully embrace his future with Rachel. With this newfound clarity, Alex immerses himself in his relationship with Rachel. They embark on adventures, share quiet evenings, and build memories that are untainted by past wounds. The specter of his relationship with Claire no longer haunts him. He's able to give his heart fully, without reservation. But just as Alex feels he's finally found peace, a shocking revelation rocks him. He learns through a mutual friend that Claire has moved on as well. She's engaged, seemingly happy and thriving. Despite his journey of healing, this news stirs something within him. He realizes that while he's moved past the hurt, there's a part of him that never truly let go of the what-ifs. This revelation becomes the final test of his emotional resilience. He's faced with a choice. He can spiral back into old patterns, questioning his worth and replaying past mistakes, or he can accept that life has its own course, one that doesn't always align with his expectations. Alex decides to confront these lingering doubts head-on, reaching out to his own support system and even speaking to a therapist. Through this process, he understands that closure isn't a one-time event. It's an ongoing journey of accepting life's imperfections and embracing his own growth. With each session, each conversation, he learns to let go of the need for validation from his past, finding self-worth in who he's become and the love he's building with Rachel. In the story's climactic moments, Alex faces his past without fear or regret. He no longer defines himself by his heartbreak or his mistakes. Instead, he steps into his future with a renewed sense of purpose and joy, ready to embrace whatever life brings his way. If you're enjoying this journey, remember to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that explore the depths of relationships and personal growth. In this section, we're reaching the heart of Alex's emotional journey as he navigates the final stages of healing and acceptance. At this point, Alex is fully invested in his relationship with Rachel, yet the echoes of his past with Claire continue to haunt him. He's working hard to keep his past where it belongs, but life seems to have other plans. One evening, Alex and Rachel attend a mutual friend's wedding. It's a beautiful, celebratory occasion, and everything seems perfect, until Alex spots a familiar figure across the room. It's Claire. She's there with her fiancé, laughing and mingling with guests. Seeing her, genuinely happy and radiant, causes an unexpected reaction in Alex. He thought he'd finally moved on, but there's a pang of something, maybe jealousy, maybe sadness, maybe regret. Rachel notices the shift in his mood. She's supportive and empathetic, but seeing Claire in person is a reminder of the history that still lingers between them. Alex tries to shake off the feeling, reminding himself of how far he's come, but the encounter sparks a deeper reflection. For the first time, he confronts the reality that moving on isn't about erasing memories, but learning to coexist with them without letting them control him. After the wedding, Alex is quiet, introspective. He shares his feelings with Rachel, admitting that seeing Claire brought up emotions he didn't expect. He tells her about his struggles with self-worth, with feeling like he wasn't good enough in his past relationship, and how that feeling still lingers despite his progress. Rachel listens, And instead of feeling threatened, she encourages him to embrace these emotions rather than bury them. She reassures him that it's normal to have lingering doubts, that healing isn't linear, and that she's there for him every step of the way. This open, vulnerable conversation strengthens their bond. It's a pivotal moment where Alex realizes the difference between his relationship with Claire and the one he has with Rachel. Claire's love was conditional, wrapped in insecurity and fear, while Rachel's love is rooted in acceptance and understanding. For the first time, Alex sees the relationship he truly deserves, one that doesn't require him to sacrifice his happiness or authenticity. Yet, despite the progress, there's one final test of his resolve. A few weeks after the wedding, Claire reaches out to him again, saying she wants to talk, just one last time. Alex hesitates, knowing this conversation could either give him the closure he needs or pull him back into a cycle he's worked hard to escape. Rachel, ever supportive, encourages him to make the decision that feels right for him. In a tense, emotional meeting, Claire admits that part of her reason for reaching out is because she has lingering questions about their past. She wants to know if he's truly forgiven her, if he harbors any resentment or regrets. Alex, taking a deep breath, tells her that while he has forgiven her, he doesn't need answers from her to find peace. He's learned to find closure within himself, to let go of the idea that he needs her validation to move forward. Claire seems taken aback by his calmness, by the fact that he no longer needs anything from her. In that moment, it's clear to both of them that they've grown in different directions, and whatever bond they once shared has dissolved. This conversation, intense and final, marks the true end of their chapter together. Afterward, Alex walks away feeling a sense of liberation he's never felt before. He's no longer defined by his past, by the mistakes he made or the heartbreak he endured. For the first time, he feels ready to embrace his future without looking back. He goes home to Rachel, and as they share a quiet evening together, he realizes he's found something rare and precious. A relationship rooted in trust, honesty, and genuine connection. The past no longer casts a shadow over his life. He's finally free to fully invest in his present and future. If you're following along with Alex's journey, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories like this one. Stay tuned for the final chapter, where we wrap up Alex's story and see how he and Rachel move forward, leaving the past behind for good. In this final chapter of Alex's journey, we see him truly embracing a new phase in his life. After the deeply emotional conversation with Claire, Alex feels a weight lift off his shoulders. That moment marked a clear ending to the emotional back and forth he'd been carrying around for so long. And now, he's ready to move forward with clarity, free of the unresolved questions and lingering doubts. As Alex spends more time with Rachel, their relationship naturally deepens. They're no longer in the phase of simply getting to know each other. Now they're building something real, something meaningful. He realizes he's finally able to invest himself fully in this relationship without the nagging feeling that he's dragging along old baggage. With Rachel, he feels understood in a way he hadn't before, a feeling of acceptance and love without conditions. One day, during a quiet moment together, Rachel and Alex talk about their dreams for the future. They're not making specific plans, but rather sharing hopes and ambitions, each envisioning a life where they both feel happy and fulfilled. For Alex, this is a moment of clarity. He can see himself creating a life with Rachel, not as an escape from his past, but as a future he genuinely wants. With a new sense of freedom, Alex also dives back into his passions. He starts painting again, something he had stopped during the turmoil with Claire. His creativity feels revitalized, and with each piece he creates, he pours his new insights and experiences into the canvas. His art becomes an outlet for everything he's been through, and he's finally able to express himself without fear of judgment or failure. Over time, Alex and Rachel's bond grows even stronger. They move in together, creating a shared space filled with warmth, understanding, and mutual respect. Alex realizes that this relationship feels like a partnership, where they support each other's dreams and face challenges together. There are no lingering doubts, no fears that he isn't enough or that he has to prove his worth constantly. Instead, he feels valued and respected for who he is. As for Claire, Alex doesn't hear from her again, and he's genuinely at peace with that. He reflects on his past relationship with understanding but without bitterness. He's grateful for the experiences and the lessons he learned, even the painful ones, because they led him to where he is now. Alex has reached a point where he can look back at his life with gratitude, knowing that every step, every heartache, and every joy played a role in shaping who he is today. In the final scenes of Alex's story, we see him fully immersed in his new life with Rachel. They're planning a small getaway together, something spontaneous and exciting, a celebration of the life they've built together. As they set off on their adventure, it's clear that Alex has finally found the happiness he's been searching for, not in someone else but within himself. This ending isn't just about finding love or overcoming heartache. It's about Alex's journey to self-acceptance, healing, and the courage to open his heart again. He's found peace in letting go of his past and embracing a future filled with hope, love, and possibility. Thank you for following along with Alex's journey. If you enjoyed this story and want to see more, don't forget to subscribe, share, and comment below. Stay tuned for more heartfelt stories like this one.